Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Namaste, Sasrikal. I welcome you to a very exciting new episode of Spin Care. Before we start our session, I would personally like to thank you all so much for the overwhelming response you have given to the previous two videos. We intend to bring new content and good content, and we also request all our subscribers and viewers to please suggest the topics that you would like us to discuss on this channel. I know you will participate and support us. We require your support. I request you, before starting this new episode, exciting episode, I want you all to please subscribe, share this video to others, and also press the notification bell so that you get notification whenever we upload a new episode. Thank you, and let's start the episode. Just a second. Welcome to episode 3. Today's topic is importance of business plan in spinning mills. So what is the importance of a business plan in a spinning mill, and why do we need to make a business plan? Businesses that plan, grow 30% faster than those who do not have a business plan. Studies show that nearly 71% of the fastest growing businesses have business plans. Importance of business plan. We are all experts in preparing spin plan, but is spin plan a business plan? No. Spin plan is only a part of the business plan. Business plan is much more than the spin plan. When you are the head of the operations, GM, VP, or president, you are not just a technical head, you are a techno-commercial head. Your success depends on how strong your business plan is and how strategic you are to explore the opportunities the market presents from time to time. What is a business plan? A business plan is a document that describes the company's goals, operations, marketing objectives, and financial projections. It will guide in running the company. Disadvantages of not having a business plan. Lack of business plan tends to limit our success. When there is no business plan, the following may happen. Necessary actions may be overlooked and unnecessary actions may be taken. Opportunities will be overlooked and efficiency losses may happen. Repetition and duplication may take place and valuable resources will be wasted. Rework can happen at great expense of time and effort. Risk goes unidentified. Delegation of work becomes difficult or impossible. Hiring the right skill sets becomes difficult. Responsibility and accountability cannot be fixed. Without a blueprint, roadmap, goals cannot be achieved. Commitments can fail. Resources may not be utilized optimally. Why make a business plan? The business plan will include all necessary actions required to achieve the goal. The task will be defined in chronological order with the targets. Opportunities can be identified easily. Risk factors will become clear and can be addressed to mitigate the same. As tasks are defined, you can achieve right first time without any rework and duplication and save resources. As tasks are defined, so are responsibilities and accountability. It becomes easy to delegate and hire right skill sets. It will also help in identification of constraints, bottlenecks, and gaps where support is required. What should be included in a business plan? Business goals, which means what does your business want to do, how it wants to grow, where it wants to position itself in the marketplace. Product basket, that means what do you produce and what do you sell? Different counts, different blends, different kind of specialty yarn, whatever, or maybe commodity yarn. So you have to define your product basket. Marketing plan. So whatever you produce has to be marketed. So how do you plan to sell your products? Operation plans. How do you plan to make your operations profitable? This is the center of everything. Okay. Revenue. What is the current revenue? Projected revenue. What is the projected revenue? How much you want to earn from the plant you are having? Resources. What resources do you require to achieve the targets? So you may plan to add value, increase production, make some different products. So you may require different resources, sometimes raw material. Say you may want bamboo fiber or a PVA fiber or some other fiber like acrylic fiber, and you want to create some blends, or you want to increase the productivity, you find a bottleneck. A draw frame delivery is required, or a few spindles of speed frame is required. So these are all resources that you require to produce, or maybe even manpower. So what resources do you require to achieve the targets? The team, this is the most important thing. Required skill sets. So you have to have a proper team to produce high quality material to target the market space, and you should have competitive persons having good skills and experience. So the human resources is most critical to put everything in its place. I am sharing a business plan template, which is very simple. You can also make your own business plan templates and work on this. In this template, what we are doing, we are trying to make a business plan. And this is primarily focused on operations. You can extend it to marketing, finance, and all other departments. So in this particular plan, I am discussing about the operations. And in the operations, we will focus only on the core activities that is performed in the mill. What do you mean by core activity? Core activity is something that directly affects your business. So non-core activity should be ignored, should not be taken up on the business plan. Otherwise, you will lose focus and you will be working on some non-core activity which doesn't add any value to your system. So in this template, you can see there are a few columns. The first column is operations. The second one is existing targets. Third column is new targets. So this is what you are achieving right now and what you propose to achieve. Then whether there's an increase or decrease from the existing targets. Then you have to calculate the value in rupees for the new targets. This value will tell you how much of an increase in revenue is there compared to the previous year. And it will also tell you whether you are growing. Are you planning to grow? Are you setting a target which will ensure that you grow and sustain your operations? And the last column obviously is responsibility. Who is going to do all these activities in order to implement the business plan? So in the first column, as you see, we have 11 different parameters that we have considered. So we will focus on these 11 parameters. You should have somewhere between 5 to 10 parameters. That will be more easy. Only core activities, so that your business grows in a proper direction. So I have considered 11. You can increase it or decrease it or change it, whichever is core, which affects your business. The first point obviously is the production in kgs or metric ton. The second one is the waste percent target. Third one is realization. Fourth one is contribution. Fifth one is energy consumption and UKG. Sixth one is breakdown percentage. Seventh one is attrition rate. Eighth one is timely delivery or dispatches. The last 3 points are in a red box. This is the critical data, critical parameter, which all the managements, the managing director to the business head, have to concentrate upon, because these three parameters will directly tell you what is the health of your organization. Is it healthy? Is it growing positively, or is it growing negatively? So you can identify only from these three critical parameters. What are these three critical parameters? Inventory, operation cost. Operational cost includes manufacturing cost also. And the 11th one is the most important thing, throughput. So in this format, what you can do, you can write down the existing targets. And if you are a new company, of course, you don't have any existing targets. So you straight away write the new targets. But in existing company, your existing targets, whatever you have written, there should be an improvement. If it is production, it has to improve. If it is waste, it has to reduce. If it's realization, it has to improve. Contribution has to improve. Energy consumption and UKG has to reduce. Breakdowns have to reduce. Attrition rate has to reduce. Sorry. Timely deliveries has to improve. Inventory has to reduce. Operation cost has to reduce. Throughput has to be more effective and efficient. So these new targets will tell you what is the amount of revenue that you are going to increase. And who are all responsible? Maybe the production team, maintenance team, quality team, engineering team, HR, then procurement department, purchase department, marketing department. So you can list down the responsible areas. Once this business plan template is made, it becomes a guideline for the operations for this particular financial year. This is our new targets which we have to achieve, and these are the people responsible. So this is how you make a simple business plan. While making the business plan, you have to identify the constraints mean bottleneck. So you want to increase the production, there will be certain constraints. Maybe you don't have enough labor, maybe you don't have certain missions which you need to add. Maybe you require automations like bobbin transport system or cone transport system, or some packing automation, whatever. So you have to identify the constraints. When it comes to energy consumption, you want to reduce energy without affecting the process and productivity. Then there can be certain constraints. You may require certain energy efficient motors, energy saving lighting equipment. Many things are there. Okay. In the same way, attrition rate, maybe the HR has some constraints which they have to address. We need to have a in-house training program so that people stick here. We have to create an environment where we can give incentives also, so that the people stick to the company and they don't leave the company or jump the ship. Okay, so like that, for every activity where you are fixing the new targets, you are telling the management, okay, we can achieve this new targets, we can increase our revenue. So there you have to identify the constraints. But at the same time, spin plan is of utmost important, because that is going to decide your product basket, and from that the production in kgs, and what is the contribution per kg. Weighted average you have to take. So spin plan, once it is made and the contribution, everything is put on the paper, you know what is the value that you are going to increase, revenue that you are going to increase. And if we have to increase this revenue and work on this model, what are the constraints? How to address those constraints and how to make this plant achieve the new goals. So while making this, you may also try to add value. Maybe you are only producing commodity yarn right now. You may want to produce some specialty yarn. Maybe you want to produce blend yarns, maybe acrylic or bamboo or PVA yarn, something like that. So these are all value additions. Or you may say on a few ring frames we will have slab. On few ring frames we will have core yarn. On few ring frames we will have elite waste. These are all value additions. So the process remains the same, the manpower engagement remains the same, the fixed cost remains the same, but by doing this specialty you are increasing the value of your yarn. So your revenue increases. At the same time, you have to also consider the value losses, where all we are losing value and how to arrest that value loss. Value loss, I can give you a few examples. Like I see in many mills, the speed frame bobbins, the rovings are being cut and taken back to the blow room. So you have added value from blow room to speed frame and made the roving, and then you cut it and take it back and put it in the blow room. So a lot of value is lost in whatever you have produced. Similarly, we also see hard waste. A lot of hard waste is generated, which is a direct value loss. Similarly, if you look at utilities, engineering, a lot of compressed air leakages. Regular frequent audits need to be done and arrested. Otherwise, the compressed air leakages itself runs to lakhs of rupees, which is a direct value loss. So you have to consider these constraints and value addition, value loss when you fix your new targets. And it is imperative. We have to fix the new targets. We have to grow as an organization. We have to sustain ourselves and we have to become a leader in the space. So you need to do this. And it's very simple activity where you have to do a lot of calculations, obviously, and then come up with new targets. The responsibilities have to be fixed, and then we have to implement the plan. All targets that you are putting in the business plan should be measurable, and measurable in terms of value. It's not like writing a 98% utilization, 95% efficiency. No, 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 no. It has to be in terms of rupees. You can measure each and every activity inside a spinning mill, not just of production, even of HR, stores. Every activity you can measure in terms of rupees. Okay, we will make a separate video where we'll explain you how you can convert every activity into the value of rupees. But when you are talking of these activities, core activities in the business plan, every activity should be measurable. If you don't measure the activity, there is no point of just writing it on a paper or giving sermons. You have to measure. The measurement has to be there and it has to be verifiable and it should reflect. Okay, all targets that you are going to put should be measurable in terms of value. Business plan should be made by involving all the respective HODs. All the departments are required. Every department should come and commit themselves. This is our existing target. We are going to improve it and we are going to bring it here. Say, for example, maintenance department can come and tell, sir, our breakdown is 2%. We will bring it to 1%. Right? Similarly, production people can say, this is our annual production. We can increase our annual production by this much. Similarly, this is our energy consumption. We will reduce our energy consumption by 2%. Similarly, HR can come and say our attrition rate is 5%. We will reduce it to 3%. So every department who are supporting the production activity also have to come and participate in the business plan. And they have to agree so that it can be implemented smoothly. They should decide the targets and agree upon it. They have to themselves choose the target. This is the existing data. How can you contribute? How can you improve your existing department performance? How can you make this place a better place? So they will come up with the targets. And once they are giving you the targets, they have to achieve it. Okay. They should also list out the constraints and required resources to achieve the target. The business plan should have core activities only, minimum 3 and maximum of 10 activities. I don't recommend beyond that because the entire focus will be lost. So limit it to 10 activities. And once that is achieved, then you can take up in the next financial year other activities also. Once the business plan is made for the financial year, it should be broken down into 4 quarters and then into monthly targets. It should be reviewed every month and every quarter. If the targets are not achieved, correction should be made and the missed targets should be adjusted in the remaining 3 quarters. Now that the monthly business plan is ready, the respective departments should further break down their targets into 3 to 5 core activities and focus on it to achieve the targets. The HOD of that particular department, respective department, should delegate these core activities with the targets to their subordinates. Review of achieved target should be in terms of value, INR, as it is measurable. So you have to review at the end of the month and at the end of the quarter what you have achieved against the business plan, and that should be measurable. Okay, only then we know whether you are progressing, you are adding value to the organization. Data should be substantiated with verifiable reports and should confirm with cross checks. It is not that you are just filling up some data and you are claiming, yes, sir, I have done this, we have achieved this. But it should be substantiated with verifiable reports and it should also confirm with the cross checks from across the departments. It has to reflect everywhere if you have done some activity. The business plan review automatically reviews the performance of each department and function also. Quarterly review will present a clear picture of performance of the mills and necessary action to be taken in subsequent quarters. It is advisable every department or function works on 3 core tasks and focus on it. Once it is achieved, they can take up the next 3 core tasks in the next quarter and so on. This way, targets can be easily achieved and substantial progress can be made. 3 most important operational measurements. That's the critical parameters which we discussed in the template. What are those 3? Throughput is the first and foremost thing. What is the definition of throughput? The rate at which the system generates money through sales, net of variable. That is, whatever you produced, you are not supposed to stock it in your godown. You are supposed to send it to the customer, recover the money, and the money should come back into the system. The cash flow cycle should be closed. That is throughput. Here, throughput is definitely happening in the mills. But is it efficiently happening? Like you produce something, keep it in your godown, yarn godown, and within a week, the yarn has to be dispatched to the customer and the customer has to release the money. The payment has to come back into the system. It has to be a smooth flow as fast as possible. How fast your system can generate that money is very, very important. The cash flow has to be closed. It has to come back into the system. There should be proper, efficient ways of doing it. Okay. Sometimes what happens? The party doesn't pay up, takes longer credit terms, then makes a claim, compliant, delays. So this is going to disturb the operations. So throughput is very, very important. Whatever you have produced, you are not supposed to stock it up in your godown. It has to go to the customer, and the money has to be released and realized. It has to come back into the system, and the cash flow cycle should be closed. Throughput is very, very important. Inventory. What's the definition? All the money that the system has invested in purchasing things which are required to convert the raw materials into finished goods, which it intends to sell. This is the definition of inventory. So you have to have a good control. This is a very critical parameter. You have to always focus on this. So whatever store spares you are purchasing, consumable spares and all, so that has to be put into the system in order to convert your raw material into the finished goods, that is into the yarn. For that, aprons may be required, bearings may be required, belts may be required, grease may be required, lubricants are required. So all these things you are investing and keeping it in store so that you can successfully convert your raw material into the finished goods. So that is what is known as store inventory. And apart from store inventory, you can also include the raw material as an inventory. You can also include the finished goods as an inventory. You can also include the critical spares as inventory. You have to ensure there is no dead inventory. That is, you order something and don't consume it, it's lying in the stores. That is dead inventory, which is holding back your cash unnecessarily. Okay, so you can include all these things into the inventory, including the work in progress. Then operating expenses. What's the definition? All the money the system spends in order to turn inventory into throughput. So we have the spares, we have everything, and now you are manufacturing. Okay, so manufacturing cost is also a part of operational expenses. Apart from that, even the packing cost, everything involved, electricity is there, so many other things are there which comes into operating expenses. This has to be also low. If your inventory is high, your operating expenses are high, the throughput, the net of the sale will be less. You will not be making much profits. One should note that all the three are interrelated, and action should be taken in isolation, should not be taken in isolation. Reducing inventory without considering the throughput will affect process, and so is the case with operating expenses. Fixed costs like electricity, salaries, wages, interest, etc. are incurred whether throughput increases or decreases. The goal is to increase the throughput while reducing inventory and operational expenses. So you cannot reduce inventory in isolation or operating expenses in isolation because that will affect your throughput. So there is a interrelation. So in isolation, you cannot reduce the inventory or operational expenses. And at the same time, you have to ensure that there is no high inventory or huge operational expenses. Or it should not be very less inventory and less operational expenses. Everything will affect. It has to be optimized. Conclusion. It is important to make a business plan and specify the goals of the organization. When you make a business plan, you know if your organization has the potential to grow and become sustainable. You will know the milestones you have reached by reviewing the performance against the set business plan. There will be total clarity in operations. The business plan will also help you review the performance of each function, department, and the core team. It will help you in making strategic decisions and keep you focused on growth. It will help you reduce inventories and operational expenses while increasing the throughput. It is a tool to make your operations profitable and sustainable. It is simple, inexpensive exercise which only requires quality time. So there is no need to invest in any capital equipment or something like that to make a business plan, right? It's inexpensive. It's very simple. It only requires quality time. If you want help in creating a business plan for your organization, you can feel free to contact us. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Also, please let us know your comments and suggestions. You can write to us, call us, or comment on the video in YouTube.